Good afternoon, everybody. This is Tavashni Naidu, PhD researcher at the University of Wolverhampton in the UK, living and residing in Abu Dhabi as an ethnographic case study researcher. Ethnography is very much a key feature of this type of research that I'm doing, an insider-based research. Whilst it is excellent for field notes and getting to grips with the local culture, sometimes there is a fine line between you and the cultural field or the cultural capital of the field in which you are engaging in, so it does have its intricacies. So the focus of my study has been the identity of female Emirati Bedouin learners. After the discovery of oil, Abu Dhabi has been hit by a rapid globalization, and the female Bedouin learner has been subject to this rapid globalization, which has invariably had a tremendous effect on a kind of hybrid identity of the emerging female Emirati Bedouin learner. Let's look at 3 case studies that were researched in detail. The first Bedouin, B1, is Mariam, 15 years of age, attending a public secondary school and of Emirati descent. Like so many girls her own age, Mariam is extremely talented at art, and it's something that almost comes innately to her. However, as she progresses into secondary school life, Mariam is pressured into gaining better academic results and thus has to put aside her love for art. And then there is Shama, B2, who is 16 years of age. Shama hails from a pious family and would like to further her studies in America. However, the question of whether she could do this looms large as she has to now live away from the family. And then there is Sumaya, Bedouin 3, 18 years old, who moved to the city in 2015 with her family. Sumaya is thrilled that she is able to pursue her dream by studying fashion designing, and she knows that she is one of the first in her family to do so. So the study then poses an important question. Are Emirati female Bedouins resistant to acculturation, or are they acceptant of acculturation? By acculturation, one means the adoption of a second culture that produces some kind of psychological or cultural change. And so we move on to see that there is an unavoidable tension for the Emirati female Bedouin, who not only has to keep her own sense of culture and the norms that are so very much a part of her family life and communal life, but she has to integrate, assimilate, and contend with a globalization that is hitting her as she moves out of the traditional Bedouin education system. And to illustrate this, let's look at a more extreme example of the first female Emirati pilot in the UAE.
Miriam, this is your office. Quite remarkable stuff. You are the first female Emirati Air Force pilot. When did you decide you wanted to fly?
Actually, directly after I finished my high school, I put up my mind to be a fighter pilot. But at that time, the doors were not open for females to be pilots. So I had to wait almost 10 years.
Was that frustrating?
Yeah, for the decision to be taken. And as soon as the doors were open, I volunteered.
Let's be quite honest, just how challenging was it amongst your male colleagues here in the Air Force?
Yeah, initially, the higher authorities, they were very supportive, but to implement the idea, there were some hesitation in how to deal with this, which is normal in every culture. Whenever a woman enter a new male-dominated field, they find the same hesitation, the same prejudice, the same stereotype thinking, and I had to prove myself by just being determined and having the skill and the knowledge enough to prove that I can perform as skillful as the men in this field.
You've said you had to prove that you were equally as skillful. Did you have to prove you were better than them?
Yes, most of the time, because the spotlight is on me, especially since we are the first group.
Sure. Do you remember the first time you got in one of these? Just walk me back.
Yes, the first time it was really amazing. So with an IP in my back seat, but shortly after formations, they sent me solo, which increased my confidence.
How did that feel?
Yeah, that felt really awesome, especially that they give you this confidence that you can take this very expensive and valuable jet that is used to defend the country and fly it solo.
Do you feel like you've broken a glass ceiling?
Let's say, yeah, because it was like a dream or something impossible that came true. So I think yes.
Do you feel a great responsibility on your shoulders?
For sure, from day one that we started flying in 2006, I felt this responsibility, and I felt that I have to be up to this responsibility and prove that I can be a great fighter pilot like any other male in this field.
Are you a great fighter pilot?
I hope so. It's a continuous process of learning.
The leadership here has made a lot of noise about where it wants to see its Emirati women going forward, involved in the workplace, involved in industry, ambassadors for the country. But do you see that happening on the ground, or will you be the exception that proves the rule, do you think?
No, I can see it in every field in UAE. I can see women working in different fields that we're not used to, and they are being very successful, and they prove their proficiency in every field.
Is it more important today than ever to be involved in defending your country, do you think?
Yes, for sure. We are in a hot area, so that we have to prepare every citizen in this country to be ready to defend UAE. So female or male, it does not matter as long as we are defending our country.
Do you enjoy what you do?
For sure.
Do you love it?
Yes, I'm in love with it, yes.
You should go to work. I'm going to let you go to work.
So to look ahead, this study is important in many ways in that it addresses the specific tensions experienced by the young Emirati female Bedouin learner who has to venture out and contend with a continual flux and dynamicity of her own cultural values and that of a globalization that is something that she cannot avoid. After close analysis of the data of this case study, it is apparent that the female Emirati Bedouin learner is transitioning, but the transition is to be helped in some way. And this case study has proved useful in that it illuminates the tensions experienced by the female Emirati Bedouin learner, and also places a little bit of a responsibility on the wider society to support this transitioning nature of identity, alongside the attempts of the female Emirati to withhold her own sense of traditional identity and Bedouin identity as she navigates this new globalized world that awaits her.
One of the things I would leave you with is Sheikh Zayed often said to his people, "He who has no past has no future." So looking back on the past is essential. I am just a proud PhD student, a teacher, and a resident of Abu Dhabi who's traveled internationally now and taught in other countries, but I'm really, really proud to be having my PhD and my ethnography based in this precious, precious city of